So next, I want to bring on John Downs. John is in Washington, D.C. If you have not watched this 3-minute video that he did a few weeks ago on Facebook, I'm going to put a link to that in the chat of today's call while he's talking. But John, if you don't mind introducing yourself, walk us through your workflow and share a little bit about what market you're in.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks again, Dave. So I am John Downs. I'm fairly new to Mortgage Coach, so I think I'll probably be the least active, I guess, in the Dave Savage world of measuring how many I've done. But on average, I do about 200 units a year. We're in a high-cost market of DC, so average loan amount's a little higher, so 100 million-ish range in volume. I've probably been using Mortgage Coach kind of somewhat exclusively only for about 60 days. I was someone that thought it took way too much time to get through the process, which made adopting it or even willing to do your 10, Dave, as you always say, a challenge for me. And then once I really figured out the scale in which I could use the product, as well as having my PA or my assistant jump in and do things for me, and then I can even tweak it. It's just such an awesome tool. So I'm really excited to be here today.
Love it, love it. Well, we see a window on your desktop. So tell us a little bit about the strategy you're going to showcase, and then walk us through how you create one.
Awesome. So can you see my main screen LinkedIn right now?
We do. We see LinkedIn.
Awesome. Okay. So I thought I would show. Well, I took maybe a slightly different approach than Jeremy. So I always like to think that I'm an efficiency nut, and I'm always trying to look for ways of doing every single thing faster, but I also am definitely a perfectionist. So that means I need to go ahead and make sure that whatever I'm doing, that I really know that whatever the partner's getting, that it's about as accurate as possible. So what I did is I actually created, and it took me till like a couple weeks ago to figure this out, but there's a way you can basically just build templates, but not just closing cost templates, but actually other scenarios. So a common thing that I wind up getting is, first-time home buyers in DC. They tend to be well-educated. They make good money. They might not have a ton of cash, but their parents do. So it is the land of the normal conversation saying, I don't even know what I should put down, 5%, 20%. Mom and dad said maybe gift. So what do I do? So the one I thought I would share today is more the pre-approval kind of, not under contract, not really even with a property identified, but just fostering a what should I be looking at and what should I do conversation. And I'm going to show you that one. So what I do is I just open up, of course, Mortgage Coach. If you click on View All, where you do your normal search where you try to look up a client, we started just labeling our real templates with certain things, right? So FTHB is my first-time home buyer template. You see single-family home, Virginia condo, and then you also see DC condo buyer. So I simply would click on that and hit Copy Analysis, and I would call this a new client. So you'll see what carried over here, and I'm going to talk a lot through this, but you could also see how fast this could really be. I'm going to call this the man Dave Savage, who's currently renting. Doesn't make a lot of sense, but just kidding. So anyway, so you can go through right here, and I usually go right to products. And you'll see what I have highlighted is 5% down, 10% down, both no PMI. I also have 15% down with and without PMI, right, LPMI monthly. And that fosters a combination of questions. Should I put more down or less? Should I look at LPMI or include it in the rate? And for me, this was the best one to illustrate options and then to take conversation deeper. So really all I do once I'm in my template is I'm really just changing sale price. So let's just say someone is looking for a $450,000 condo. It's already set up to 5% down. Now I'm going to do this real time to look up rates. I work for Caliber Home Loans. We actually have we use rate sheets. I don't even know if the planet uses rate sheets anymore. I think everyone's more in like that Optimal Blue or whatever. So I'm just going to look at this real quick on my rate sheet so you can see how long it takes also with trying to figure out what rates you should use. Now, if you're kind of a rate sheet person, you start memorizing all of the adjustments, right? So if you're and the high balance space, what's that, 1 3/8 roughly for condo and LTV. And if I assume, 760 score for this guy, it's 1.67. So I'm going to look for a price on my sheet somewhere around -3. Let's just call that 4 3/4. So there's my 5% LPMI. You'll see everything carries over. I don't have to change any of the closing costs. I'll open this up only to show you the things that I have as percentages, which would be my transfer taxes and title insurance, and every other fee is pretty much standard. So again, I'm not changing anything with that. And then I just have to go in here and say, oh, this is a $350 condo fee. Notice that I have the property taxes set up as a percentage. So of course in our area, it is just a flat percentage. And just like that, my 5% down lender paid is done. So same thing here. All I'm doing is changing sale price, already set up to 10% down. I'll click over here. We are half point better. So let's just call that 4 5/8. Whoop, I'm getting ahead of myself here. And we'll change that to 4.625. And again, everything's already done. 350 condo fee, taxes are already done. So you can see how you can just keep rolling through here pretty easy. Another half point here. Let's just call this one 4.5. 350 condo fee. And I think I'm just realizing as I'm kind of toggling, I didn't change that sale price. And then I'm pretty much done. So I'm going to go right here, 4 1/8, 450, and 350. So just like that, all my estimates are put together, buttoned up, finished. So I always do the long-term analysis at 10 years for my first-time home buyers, the short-term analysis for 84 months. It tends to fit kind of my demographic of who I work with. And then I really just go straight to preview the presentation. I think sometimes I might change the, what type of report I do, right? So this one, let's just do total cost. And as I preview, do the same thing Jeremy did where I highlight all the stuff that you want to talk about. So usually I'll put the loan amounts all the way across like this, sort of like the high-level points, the things I just want them to kind of know as a talking point. I'll just highlight the margin all the way on the left. Now, another thing I do a little differently is I take the max cash that you see here, so call it $83,000, and I go back into my presentation to change the amount of cash the person has. And the reason I do that is it just shows up better on the net worth calculation, so you can just figure out, do I want to go ahead and show what is their future net worth if they go ahead and take the money instead of putting 15% down, that they just put 5% down and they reinvested the money. The only other thing I'll do a little different is I like to snip this section and put it in the body of my email. And we've sort of toyed with actually hyperlinking this entire picture to take them to the Edge presentation. A lot of times we'll just go ahead after we generate, let's say we do, I'm going to skip the audio for a second, but then I'll just copy that and I'll hyperlink it in an email, or I'll just say, click here to download your mortgage presentation. So that's kind of it. What I did there was all the estimates. I went ahead and actually priced real time. So that wasn't just using random rates. That was kind of the real rates that I would use for a consumer. Would you like me to go over what I would say in the chart like Jeremy did, Dave? Do we still have time?
Let's see real quick before you do that. Jacob, do you have any speed tips for Jeremy or John? And let's see how much time we have, because we do have 3 other folks to get through. Jacob, any speed tips? Feel free to turn on your video if you want to share anything. Hey, Jacob. We don't hear you, Jacob. Jacob, we can't hear you.
All right, any better, guys?
Sweet.
Okay, quick speed tip for both John and Jeremy. You guys do an awesome job, by the way. You don't actually have to go to the preview to do your highlighting. When you hit add audio video, you're actually on a version that's capable of being highlighted. So you can actually skip a step if you'd like. That's the only tip I've got.
Awesome. And then I'll talk about it more later, but John, I don't know if you noticed it. If you click on Try New View at the bottom of that screen, click on that real quick.
I love that. I wish I could use that new view with all of my customers. Is that live yet?
Well, you will be able to soon. So I wanted to shine a light on that to everyone because we are updating the look and feel of the web version of Mortgage Coach. So if there, look at what we're doing. If there are things that you want edited or changed, now is the time to give us feedback. We are updating the look and feel, and everybody can see that. Jacob, is there anything you want to add to that?
I would just say at the very top of this presentation, you'll see that there's a link to click to email beta@mortgagecoach.com. That's where you can send us your feedback. We're monitoring that and responding to it constantly, and we're open to any suggestions. We want to make this the best possible program for you guys, so let us know what you think.
Beautiful. John, could you do what you're going to do in 2 minutes or less?
I would. So if this were the video, I would just kind of pop it up and say, hey, Mr. Jones, this is, or Mr. Dave Savage, the man, this is the mortgage presentation I told you about. We choose to use the digital format because we believe it illustrates a truer long-term cost of ownership for the mortgage. So what I wanted to show you is the difference between putting small and large down payments. And I think there's a couple conversation points that we'll have to take to the phone after this. But one, you'll see 5%, 10%, and 15% down. I have 3 options where we actually build that mortgage insurance into the interest rate. That's where the rate's a little bit higher, but again, net effect payment a little bit lower. And I also wanted to show kind of old school monthly PMI. Now, if you're on your mobile phone, you'll just click the tabs after this video. If you're on your desktop, you'll see it's kind of a split screen. On the right, you'll see in graphical form just differences in the monthly payment with the extra amount that you put down. But the one thing I want you to key in on the bottom right-hand side from a PC is the net worth in 10 years. And this is something that I just don't think a lot of people quite embrace or truly understand. But really, every dollar you have can be earning or saving something. And what we wanted to show here is if you put less down on a mortgage but took that extra money that you had left over and you invested it in some other vehicle, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, whatever other investments you get in, and we use a historical 7% average, you can actually see that the compounding effect of market returns on that extra cash can actually give you an increased net worth in the future. And then there's always an added benefit of restructuring mortgages over time with more equity and if, of course, rates drop in the future again. So that's the presentation. Please give me a call for our follow-up so we can make sure we dive into these in more detail so when you find that perfect house, you know exactly what you're going to do. Have a great day. So that would be the message that I would use.
Love it. And then I know in that Facebook video you did, you are updating the total cost analysis for all your qualified home buyers. So like you've got all these TCAs out there, you've got home buyers that are in the market, 1 minute or less. What would you do differently if this was someone that you had already done a TCA for and now you were just trying to, stay top of mind with them, give value and help stay top of mind and add value to your home buyers? What would be different?
Yeah.
About that?
Sure.
Quickly.
Sure. Yep, real quick. So I always felt weird just calling out of the blue, hey, what's going on? How's your house search going? So then I decided, well, now that we have this presentation, I could still make that same phone call that we all want to make every couple of weeks. Hey, how are you doing? How's your home search going? I want to update your mortgage analysis for you to show current rates. But before I do that, I want to find out, should I be tweaking the target sale price points based on your search over the last couple of weeks? And it fosters a good conversation. The only thing I do different, aside from changing the numbers a little bit, is I'll go into the actual video and I will delete it, right? So if there's a video, you go in here, I don't know a faster way, you just kind of jump in and there's a delete trash button right there. So I would just go ahead and delete that before I send it. That way it's not the same video going over and over again if I talked about different things, right? Sale price points and stuff like that are different.
Got it. Just heads up, on the mobile app, you can update the video. So all in one step, you could just update the video and exchange it. So FYI, and it's a great way to update that video.